Hi there. Welcome back to the hEireann podcast with me, Ciara Riordan, the podcast that celebrates Irish women at home and abroad. We will hear three defining moments, what hEireann and being an Irish woman means to them, the best bit of advice they have received from an Irish woman. We find out their favourite Irish saying, and we will even find out if they prefer Barry's tea or Lyons tea, Tato or King Crisps. And that's towards the end of the podcast. I would be really grateful if you could tell all your friends and family about the podcast, give the podcast a follow, subscribe to YouTube if you can. A 5-star review would be great as well, whatever you're comfortable with. And yeah, it just means that more people will find out about the podcast and hear how great the women of Ireland are. And if you have any inspiring Irish women in your lives, and I'm sure you do, just go on to the manonaheireann.ie website and just email me and put forward that person, because I just want so many guests on the podcast. So thank you so much. Now to this week's guest. This Irish woman is a force to be reckoned with. She leads Slack across the UK and Ireland at Salesforce, helping organisations rethink how work gets done in the age of AI. What is Slack, you may ask? It is a cloud-based communication and collaboration platform designed for workplaces. She holds a degree from DCU, Dublin City University, in Communication and Media Studies, and has a master's in Business Management from UCD's Michael Smurfit Graduate Business School. She has previously volunteered in several organisations, including the Irish Red Cross, Junior Achievement Ireland, and 100 Minds Social Enterprise. Over nearly a decade at Salesforce, she's built a reputation for combining commercial leadership with a people-first mindset. She is passionate about women in sales, leadership and business. She is from Dublin and is based in London. Aishling Ennis, welcome to the hEireann podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It feels such a privilege and an incredible time to be on this podcast. I've listened to all the previous guests, so tough act to follow. But thank you for having me.
Yay, I'm delighted you've listened to all of them. I was wondering, I was like, has anybody listened to them all? No, I know my mother has. But I was
Irish mammy, of course she has.
yeah. She texted me the other day and she was like, you're doing very well. You're doing very well. And she liked my hairstyle.
That's a big compliment.
Yeah. I said, thanks, Mom. But yeah, no, Aishling, it's so lovely to have you on the podcast. And we don't actually know each other, really. We do now, but a couple of months ago, and I think I mentioned it on a previous podcast, I was at the Digital Irish event at the Irish Embassy in London. And this was where Dr. Jan Cosgrave from Neurotype, she was on the stage talking, and she has been a guest on the podcast, which was great. But anyway, me and you were sitting near each other watching, and we got chatting before it started. And I didn't mention anything about the podcast, and you were like the most proud Irish woman.
Yeah, I am. It felt actually, this is a full serendipitous moment. And honestly, that's how I am at every second of every day. I am so patriotic, but I'm also so passionate about women. I think it was funny then when you were like, I have a podcast called hEireann. And I was like, say less. That is literally my dream of a podcast. And one, it's so needed. Oh my goodness, I am so patriotic. People find it scary. I moved to London last year for work, and my team genuinely can't get over how patriotic I am, to the point that recently one of the leaders on my team, we were talking about recruitment, and I said, I've got a great person we need to interview. And they said, let me guess. It's either an Irish person or a woman, or is it an Irish woman? Because I'm very vocal about my passion for our country. I'm very proud of who we are. I'm very proud of our history, our ancestry. And my North Star is women, advocacy, evangelism, education. And yeah, so it was like, you're like my dream podcast.
Okay, so thank you so much again for coming on. So we're going to kick off, and I'd love to hear your first defining moment.
Yeah. we were talking about this before we went on air, and I do think it's important to say, because like on podcasts, there's a certain level of vulnerability that people want to share, but I always think the big moments are probably the moments people don't talk about a lot. Um, whether that's trauma, whether that's, things you want to forget, things you want to move on from. So I try to really narrow it down. Some of them are not like an overnight piece of more just like a destination I found myself on. So I would say my first defining moment is doing my master's. And the reason why I've chosen that is I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was like 4 or 5, right? I've always been extremely enthusiastic, passionate. As a young girl, especially now the time has changed, but as a young girl would be labeled bossy or a little bit controlling, etc. Not that that's not true, but I think we've evolved now, and doing my master's was an opportunity for me to really step into my own person and set myself a goal and achieve it. I think in school, I was naturally bright, quite disruptive. When I say disruptive, always very kind, but very loud and very, even that word boisterous, like wanted to talk, distracted easily, but would remember things. And I remember one time in school, a teacher said to me, Aishling, what's the answer to this? And I was able to answer, but the person beside me didn't get the answer because I could listen to two things at the same time. And that clicked with me as well, where I was like, okay, I'm distracting other people from learning. So I went through school, had a great time, amazing friends. And again, when we talk about Irish women, I still have the exact same group of friends that I've had since I was 4 years old. I don't think that's common in other nationalities, maybe because we're so small, a little bit incestuous perhaps, but my girls are my girls, and they're more like sisters now because we've been through everything together from junior infants right through to now, right? Um, but I went through school, had a great time, but was always kind of dulling my own light because I'd either be in trouble from being loud, a little bit boisterous. And it was like that meme that you see on Instagram. Very bright, but could do with toning it down. And toning it down would be a theme through my life, I think, up until my next defining moment. So I did my undergrad in communications. Didn't know what I wanted to do, which is also why I have a lot of empathy for like my passion of like North Star being more representation of women in leadership, business, sales, and everything that they want to do, women in sport, etc., is because it's very daunting, the system in Ireland, when you're doing your Leaving Cert at 18 and you haven't got exposure to this next wave of work, what you like, what you enjoy, but you're forced into kind of locking yourself into a career. And so I did my undergrad in communications because I love to talk. Like I love talking, if that's not clear. It will be by the end of the podcast. But I wasn't fulfilled. Like it was fine. It was, you know, dare I say, a little bit boring. And I think for me, I finished it and I had an itch I wanted to scratch. Both my parents are in business, and I felt naively that it was a predisposition for me. Like, okay, well, if you know business, you're if you've grown up in a business household, you're probably going to be able to do business. So why would you study it? And I decided to do my master's. And the reason why that was a defining moment for me was because I actually pushed myself. I don't think I'd ever pushed myself ever in my life to strive for greatness or to strive for more. I think, and listen, I was like 21 when I did my master's, but I think you have to experience that. You have to push yourself to the limits of your mind. And that would be a theme for me throughout my whole life now, is that like I'm really passionate about education. I'm really passionate about learning, development, not settling with what I know now so that I can gain more knowledge, reading a lot. Um, the reason why I think it was even more powerful is one, the things that we studied. So it had I was exposed then at that stage to like IT, technology, which is obviously where I've found myself in my career. But also I met a group of people in a beautiful way there's probably 15 friends. And subconsciously we all pushed each other to do but better and to do more. There was this quiet competition. Um, and that's something again that I think has remained with me, is that like I want us all to do really well. I don't think that someone else's success and achievements are at the cost of mine. I think everyone can do amazing things, but I think who you surround yourself with pushes you forward. So I think doing my master's, it's not about the master's, because to be honest, that piece of paper at the end of it, no one really talks about. I think it's the journey of striving for greatness. I set myself a goal. I wanted to be in the top of the class and I pushed myself to my limits, that you stretch yourselves in a way that stays with you forever. And then being around people who also wanted to be the best. That was my first exposure of that. And that really set me on fire. Um, yeah. So I think I chose that one because it's also opened my eyes to the importance of education, the importance of like continuous education as well.
No, it's a brilliant example. When you said you were 21 doing your master's, I don't know, did you notice this? But like I was 17 when I did started my degree, because I didn't do transition year.
Yeah, wow.
So yeah, and but the thing is, the difference between I suppose me and you is that I knew I wanted to do media, and I knew
Yeah.
I wanted to do it since I was 8 years of age. So I was just like, get me to Dublin, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I found it interesting. So I did a 4-year degree, but here in the UK, people start later at uni,
Mm,
and so 21 seems very young, like that you did a master's when you were 21, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I suppose it does. I think my degree was only 3 years, but I didn't feel young doing it because most people were that age, 21, 22. There was a few of my close friends had like taken a year out and then gone back. But I just chose to continue on the path, like very much in for a penny, in for a pound. I was like, okay, I haven't stepped into like the form. I've worked since I was like 16 or 17, but I hadn't stepped into like corporate America. Um, so I just, and I also hadn't, I don't think I had the maturity to have achieved what I've achieved. I needed that extra year to like really grind, really see what I was capable of.
Yeah, and just before we move on to your second defining moment, and it may
Yeah.
come up in that, but you're obviously the head of Slack for the UK and Ireland, which is an incredible achievement. Um, but I saw a photo of you and a video, I think, of you. You were dressed up in this amazing purple suit, and you were like a presenter basically, and you were talking about if you can tell me what
Yeah.
were actually doing. But I just thought, like, you know, you're an amazing get like as an employee, like because you can do it all. Like you can present, you can lead, you can talk, you can manage people. Not everyone has that, you know.
Mm, yeah. No.
Yeah. And what were you doing? What were you doing in your purple suit?
So actually, that is one of my defining moments. So we can do that 1 second. Because a defining moment, so some of them are like a little bit longer, like studying and whatnot, but I wore a pink feather suit. You saw me in the purple feather suit. I wore a pink feather suit one day on stage. And I honestly think that changed my life. And it sounds trivial and it sounds like an outfit can't change your life. And I've rattled, obviously, in such excited anticipation to meet you. Like, what are those defining moments that I feel comfortable sharing at scale? Because obviously, most people's defining moments, as we've discussed, is like deep childhood trauma and everything else. So I think my second defining moment. Now I know one of my most important defining moments is not being afraid to be my true authentic self, not trying to dim my light so that other people felt brighter, just leaning into me. And I have a lot of energy. I'm extremely passionate. I love being on the stage, even though I get really nervous beforehand. And again, the Irishism in me. I don't, I'm a winger. Like I can't over prepare for anything or I will trip up. So I never know what's going to come out. What's going to come out of my mouth. But I just love it. I love it so much. So I had this opportunity to present out at one of our largest events. And they were like, oh, Ash, would you host the event? And I think it's around 5,000 people. And I was like, amazing. And I just felt an urge. I saw this pink feather suit and I felt an urge to buy it and wear it. But I was like, oh, can I? And some of the team were like, you can't be wearing those intense colors where you're going to be on TV, like recorded. And my head of a me at the time was like, no, I think it's amazing. Again, females. I have a lot of like I have been blessed beyond belief with incredible female leaders. Not that I think men would be like, don't wear that because, well, I wouldn't wish that upon them. But that has totally changed the course of my life because I feel like even now, that was 5 years ago. I still meet customers. I met customers last week at that same event, and they're like, I'm like, hi, Aishling, lovely to meet you. And they're like, oh, you've changed the pink suit to the purple suit because there was 5,000 people there. Obviously, I didn't meet 5,000 people, but that connected them to me
Yeah.
because how often do you see somebody wearing a pink feather suit?
Yeah.
And I've kind of just kept that up in my career, intentionally or unintentionally. It's not like I seek these things out, but I just don't want to have a small life. I don't want to play small. So I regularly wear outfits that I don't think a lot of heads of a cloud or a business would wear. But
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. And if somebody thinks that that makes me less serious or less, you know, successful, let them. Like
Yeah.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
Um I'm unapologetically myself. I've been very lucky to have incredible mentors, leaders who see that my very different personality is my secret sauce. And that's not in an arrogant way. That's in a, why would I try to be anything I'm not?
Course. Yeah. And I get what you're saying about like, people taking you less seriously. In general though, like, people can have misconceptions, about
Yeah,
women.
I think it's personality as well. Like when I moved into my new role, and I'm sure this person might listen, one of my favorite people in the world, that I work with. And he says to me now, people underestimate you because you're so bubbly. And when they spend 5 minutes in your time, they get a shock at their life. Because I don't, I think you can be both. I can be jumping off the windows and having a great time and having a giggle and not be serious. And then I can switch into like, I don't even need to switch into serious. I can still do that and go through the numbers and
Yeah.
execute on our dreams and like lead a team. And I think the mission that I'm trying to achieve for myself and for the next generation of women is we don't have to be or do anything we don't need to be or do. And if that meant that I was extremely quiet and reserved and liked to wear elf shoes, I should still be able to achieve what I want to achieve by doing that. Just because I'm a little bit bolder in my color choice or enthusiastic in my energy, no one can deny the results that thankfully I have achieved, my team has achieved, the business has achieved.
Yeah.
So like I constantly anchor in that I'm like, okay, but like all that really matters from a business perspective is results.
Yeah, exactly. And you should be who you are. Let's move on to
Yeah,
your
my third one.
third one. Yeah.
Okay, so I thought about this one as well. Now this one's a little bit more bleak, I would say, but it's important because I think the year of the pandemic, I had like, when you feel like you can't catch a break and you're like, oh my God. But there's beauty in that as well. I actually got an autoimmune condition, which is really common for women who like put themselves under a lot of pressure and strive for like unattainable like levels of what they're looking to achieve and success, etc. And I was really, really sick. And the reason why want to talk about this is because we're talking about women and my passion about women, and there's so much misdiagnosis for women as well. Um, so it was it was during the pandemic. I was predominantly at home in my little bubble, and I started getting really sick. Um, like really, really, really sick, like no energy. But when I say no energy, like collapsing levels of like fatigue, um, flashing lights in my eyes, just everything. And I went to the doctor. This actually was in the US as well, because I left Salesforce to join Slack. So I got like 6 weeks off, which I've never done, never had proper time off before that. And of course, Murphy's Law, as we say in Ireland, I get sick.
And sorry,
Uh,
can I ask, what were you doing in America?
my dad lives in America. So I was home. I said, I've taken 6 weeks off. I'll go spend time with my niece and nephew. And I was in America. And so I went to the doctor. The doctor was like, you're fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And I was like, I can't get out of bed. Like something's wrong. And again, women, Monona Heron, we know ourselves. Like that is one thing that I can't stress enough on. So I kept being like, I need help. I got a CT scan. Nothing was there. Um, and then you start to gaslight yourself because you're like, oh my God, maybe this is in my head. I came back to Dublin then, and my mom, oh my gosh, I could do a whole podcast on my mom. She's honestly the most amazing person in the world, and she really listens to me. And I was like, Mom, something's not right. And I just started my new job, and I was so exhausted. I was like, literally couldn't keep my head up. Needed to sleep like 18 hours a day. Was having like weird pains in my everywhere, all over my body. And one day I just had enough. I think I like fainted, and I'm not a fainty person. I'm like a strong, sturdy girl. I was like, this is not right. I rang my mom. She came over and she brought me to the hospital. And they were like asking very generic questions, like, and my mom, of course, being an Irish mommy. My mom's not really an Irish mommy outside of like the deep care nurturing. She's a lot. She's like a new generation mom. She's like, you're amazing. You're the best in the world. You can do everything.
Right.
I've never met someone more amazing in my life. That's how my mom parents me.
I love
So,
her. I love her.
she is everyone loves her. I've never not met anyone. She's never, also a fun fact, she's never in her life said a bad word about anyone. Never. I've
Really?
never heard her say a bad word about anyone in my life. And I like to I would love to be like her. I would say I definitely have those qualities. I try to like anchor in truth and not be negative, but she is just the most wholesome person ever. So it was in the doctors, and the doctor was like, and would you say you like to be the best at everything? And my mom's answering, of course. She's like, yes, she does. She likes to be the best at everything. Would you say you put yourself under a lot of pressure? I couldn't answer. The doctor's like, yes, answering all these questions. And the doctor's like, you either have trigeminal neuralgia, which apparently, God love anyone that has that, is like the worst thing in the world, where like you've got chronic migraine and fatigue, or you're suffering with like anxiety. Now, I think everyone has an undercurrent of anxiety, but I'm no more anxious than anyone else in the world. Like,
Yeah.
absolutely not. So he's like, go on these anti-anxiety medications. I was like, Mom, that's not like, I'm not anxious, but I was in such a desperate place. So Mom was like, just try them. And I was like, but I know that that's not what's wrong. That is not what's wrong with me. Because I would say now, even now, I've pretty much zero anxiety. Thank God, because I've
Yeah.
done a lot of work on myself. But I definitely definitely wasn't anxiety. Anyway, I said, you know what? I'm going to get a female doctor. But I was so low. Like I've never been so low as a person in my life. And I went to get this female doctor. And she was like, I'm going to run all your bloods because something's not right. And I was like, thank you. Anyway, turns out I had like off the charts level of an underactive thyroid, which is it's not very common, but it's an autoimmune condition. And she was like, if you had let this go any longer, I'm pretty sure she said I could have slipped into an underactive, like you can slip into a coma with that. And that was 3 months of being undiagnosed because I didn't display as somebody who had an underactive thyroid at like first glance.
Did
I
they not
lost thick
take,
hair.
sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
did they not take bloods from you?
They
When,
took bloods for Lyme disease and celiac disease, but they didn't do a full blood panel because typically people who have this thyroid, just like they look different to how I looked. So they didn't bother testing it. Again, women's health, we
yes.
can't just perceive a
Yeah.
look of somebody. And so I think the reason why that's a defining moment is, one, I'm so passionate about my voice, using my voice, advocating for myself, not giving up, not settling with like a a certain threshold that just isn't attainable. Um, and then unfortunately, my mom also got sick just after that. And that's where I was like, I couldn't catch a break. And she's my whole life. Like I grew up, it was just me and my mom growing up in our house. And as I said, she's just the most cool, kind, incredibly inspiring woman. Like she had me when she was really young, single parent. She didn't go to college. She started as an admin. She worked her way up to like a global level in a company. And she's just like the most inspiring person I've ever met. And we talk about like serendipity in a lot of ways because I think she is an earth angel anyway. Um, and we've such a special relationship. But she had been obsessed with giving blood. This is a really weird story, but like also really powerful. She was obsessed with giving blood. And I remember for Mother's Day, before the pandemic, maybe like 3 years before, we went and I sat with her all day. Oh my gosh, which is great. There were so many people waiting to give blood, but it was like 4 hours. She finally got to the top of the queue and they were like, oh no, she traveled a lot for work. So she'd be in Korea, China, all these places that upon reaching the top of the queue, we realized you can't give blood if you've been there in the last 12 months. But something in her just didn't give up on her desire to give blood. And I haven't actually asked her where that deep desire to give blood came from, but she talked about it so much, subconsciously even perhaps. But so she finally, during the pandemic, obviously she hadn't traveled because no one could travel. So she went to my family home is in Selbridge, and she went to the local bank and they couldn't take her blood because the hemoglobin levels are, I don't know, don't quote me again on any of the medical terms. Something was like white blood cells extremely low. Um, and I always say because she chose to give back, she actually was gifted her own like new lease of life. And through that, they were like, no, like something's wrong. Your levels are so low. And she then was able to go and go on her journey. And she was diagnosed with cancer, and she's amazing now. But like if she hadn't have gone on that, she wouldn't have
She wouldn't
learned
have
it. And
found out.
I
Yeah.
think the reason why it's a defining moment is like, obviously, I'm very passionate about my career. I'm very passionate about everything I've spoken about today. But I'm also really passionate about listening to my body and resting. Like I used to push myself so much. Like I'd be in the gym doing a million things. I'd be okay, cool. But if I fly out at 3 o'clock on a Friday and I fly back at Sunday night, or if I do a 4 a.m., it means I'm ready for a 9 a.m. And all that to be said, all the success in the world is not worth it if your health isn't in the right place. And I think that was such a deep learning for me when somebody you love so much with all your heart, like I love her more than anything. I love her so much that like if I thought about her for long enough, I could cry because she's just so special to me. My mom was actually in with my team last week, and well, I can do it as an exercise for your listeners, which they can pause the podcast. So she did this incredible exercise and she said, okay, I want everyone to take a pen and paper and like take a pen and paper and write down the 5 most important people in your life. And everyone does it. You can do it. Actually
Okay, I'm
do it.
doing,
I'll do
yeah.
the
Okay.
exercise.
Let's do a
Okay.
live demonstration.
Live. So put
Okay.
5 people that are everything to you and tell me when you're done.
Got 3. Do I have to have 5?
I mean, I think if you thought about it, you'd probably have 5 million,
No,
but
I know,
3
I
is
know.
enough. 3 is enough.
I'm
Okay.
joking, but yeah,
Okay. So you've got the 3 most important people in your life. Where do you fall on that list?
I'm not on that list.
Exactly. So it goes back to you can't put your own safety mask on first or whatever it is, your own air mask on first, because you cannot be the most important person back to these people if you're not being the most important person to yourself. And I think when you do exercises like that, you realize how little you prioritize yourself, your well-being, your health. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, completely. I think I had an idea. I think your mom should come on the podcast.
I think she should. She thinks she's quite shy though. She's probably the opposite of me. She's not as loud and bold, but oh my God, would I tell you what? She is the most amazing person in the world. Like,
Yeah.
oh
Will
my
you
God, she's just
will you
fantastic.
ask her for me?
Of course I will. You
Okay.
will love her. Everyone I introduce her to wants to be your best friend.
Yeah, but you know what? Also, like you've listened to all the women, not like everyone's different, and that's what's
But that's
really
why I love
great.
your podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to platform and it's not to disrespect the celebrities, but like I think we need to platform everyday women
Yeah.
because the trials and tribulations and challenges and opportunities and everything else, when normalized at scale through the everyday person, makes life a lot easier because you're not like, oh my God, I'm the only one going through that, or I'm the only one that feels like that.
Totally. And we can all learn from each other. And I've learned so much, you know. Okay, let's move on. What comes to mind when you think of Manona Heron? What does being an Irish woman mean to you?
Gosh. I'm so passionate that I could probably start crying. I don't even think I could articulate how important it is to me to be an Irish woman. I I honestly would say I'm speechless, and I think you can gather from this podcast that I'm very, very rarely speechless. I just feel like we have such a strong identity, togetherness, care, compassion. And I would say the word community comes to me a lot when I think about being an Irish woman. I think it runs in our blood and our DNA to come together and to support each other. And, our country's not perfect. We've I had another quote that I think it was Mary Robinson said, but it really was powerful to me. Um, no, it was Mary McAleese who said, "We are a vibrant first world country, but we have a humbling third world memory." And actually, my mom was in London last week, and uh, I often talk about the legacy of Irish women, and not just this generation and the last generation. I think there's so much in our ancestry. And I think our ancestry explains a lot of our behaviors. For example, like my friends laugh at me, but like I hate wasted food. Like I hate it. Like I hate throwing out food. I couldn't tell you why.
Yeah.
There's just something in my body and brain,
Yeah.
and it's not childhood trauma, and it's not how I've been
Yeah.
brought up. I just hate wasted food. And I am very lucky. My mom and I are I'm not a surface level person. I want to go deep into childhood trauma. Why are you the way you are? And some of that is, why is our country the way our country was?
Yeah.
What did our grandparents have to go through? And to that, I think that's rooted in the famine.
Oh
I do
yeah.
think that and it doesn't necessarily need to be food. It can be clothes. I think as Irish, and this is very deep, by the way, and this is just my personal opinion, but I think who we are as Irish women is so unique in our identity that it can't even be articulated because it runs so much deeper than just this current population of Irish women that are on earth right now. It, and I know Dr. Jan Cosgrave was talking about it as well, put the presidency, the passion that we have I'm fully getting goose pimples now. It's how much I
Me
care
too. Yeah.
about women in Ireland. But yeah, it's so important to me. And it's a responsibility, as I said, that I actually take really seriously. Because I feel like everyone should feel that way, but that I represent Irish women wherever I am, whether that's in America at a conference, whether that's at McDonald's having a burger. Like there's a duty of care for our legacy as a country and as a gender. Um, and it's a beautiful thing. I also am very blessed to have an incredible relationship with my granny, my mom's mom. She helped raise me because my mom worked full time to bring me up, and so I was very lucky. And I think that's another thing, is that we are the family, the community in your family. I feel like as Irish women, we give so much of ourselves to each other because we care so deeply about one another. And it's never you can have this, but in 3 months I want something back from you. It's
Yeah.
a selfless give because we love each other, even if we don't know each other.
Exactly. It's genuine. It's completely
Genuine.
genuine. I was trying to explain. I obviously live in the UK like you do, and there's a lot of my colleagues or friends who are English, and they're like, "How do you pronounce the name of
Yeah,
your
I know.
podcast?" And I'm like, "Manon Heron," and then they're like, "What does it mean?" And I'm like, I'm trying to explain to them that Manon Heron means Women of Ireland. It's obviously in Irish, and that's a direct translation. But I said it means so, so much more. I said it's extremely powerful. I said you need to be an Irish woman to understand what the connotations around the term. And I said, if you need to understand what an Irish woman, why an Irish woman is like the way they are, um, then listen to the podcast. Number one, that's what I told one of my bosses. I was like, because the way women in Ireland were treated,
Yeah.
and I just said, I kept touching my chest and I kept
No,
saying,
you're so right. I do that as well when I'm like, because you can't describe it. I hope that legacy remains for the rest of time because it is an identity to like a coven. Like me and my best friends, we have a matching tattoo. It's Graw.
oh,
Um, my two best friends, also Manon Heron. And it's a sisterhood.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
connection without a
Well,
knowing.
well, exactly. We get it. So we might not know each other or may have never met, but we get it. Okay.
I love
Next question. So who are the Irish women you look up to?
I have so many because I'm so blessed. I also feel like my life experience and probably why I'm so enthusiastic about Manona Heron is I come from a matriarch, so like my granny and my mom. I went to a convent as most Irish girls did. So like I went to an all girls school. My undergrad was predominantly girls. Um so a lot of my foundational years was just surrounded by girls. Like I sometimes still think I don't know how to talk to men. Which is actually very true for Ireland and like gender segregation as well. Um, so I'm so lucky that for me this question is hard because there's so many. Like I probably won't pick just one, but like I think in my family, my granny, she didn't have the same opportunities as like I do, and I think I take that privilege very seriously as well to think that like I have been born at a age where women have a lot more rights, a lot more of a voice to achieve what they want to achieve. And I think sometimes when you look at the numbers and the statistics in Ireland and still unfortunately in a lot of countries where women's rights are not a thing, when you look at women couldn't buy a house by themselves. So we're as a country so powerful, but also we're very, very like oppressed. And so my granny, my mom, as I said, oh my gosh, like she had me when she was 23, which doesn't seem that young, but as a single mom, I think it is very young. And she's just a beacon of light, like incredible how she navigated everything and how she continues to navigate things. And I feel like watching her at some point in your life, you become, it's not the parent to your parent, but I wish she could see herself through my eyes because a lot of my ability to advocate for myself was how she raised me to know that I was equal to everyone. Not better, but equal to my male peers and everything else. And my merit was not on anything other than my brains and my ability to be kind. Um, and then I've had women in work. I have two specific women in work who I would say changed the trajectory of my life as well as anything else. Um, Vanessa and Rebecca, who they actually both used to be my bosses. Um, and before working with them, I was very transactional isn't the word with work because I was anything but transactional, but I felt like my work and life were separated. I was like, I'm here to work. I don't need friends. And not in an arrogant way, but like, I just was like, I have a lot of friends at home. Like, but when I met the two of them, it was kind of like a sisterhood within work. And they opened my mind to like so much more than I could even think they educated me so much. They're older than me, so they're like 10 and 18 years older than me. So it was like an unlikely friendship. But when I say they're like two of my best friends now, like most trusted confidants, and all three of us at very different stages in our lives. And again, Manon Heron. And then lastly, because I can't ignore that, I have what I call my core four, which everyone laughs about, but that's what they are to me. I have four very, very, very best friends. Um, and I just don't know how people don't have best girlfriends, because when I say they light up my life, even on hard days, they're there. Like when my mom got sick, they dropped everything and they pretty much moved in with me to make sure I was okay. And I think that's so special. Like my girlfriends, Ali, Pippa, Amy, Ellen. Um, so yeah, I've so many. It's a hard question for me to answer. And then there's obviously famous Irish women who are also amazing.
Yeah, no, that's a brilliant list. Okay, the best advice you were given from a Manona Heron.
Okay, good one. Again, I have two. Classic me. One is actually my first, I would say, eye-opening to business. There was I think there still is a fake tan brand, Cocoa Brown. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah, yeah,
And their CEO used to speak a lot about business and leadership as a woman. And I just loved that. I think I didn't even realize I loved it, but I would be like salivating listening to her speak, and I'd be looking to hear what she had to say. And one of the quotes that she said, and I was probably like 17 or 18, and I still think about it all the time, is her success is not my failure. And I say that all the time to people because I really believe in abundance, and there's so much opportunity for all of us. And so another woman doing something does not mean that I'm not still great. It's like there's so much success for all of us. And she used to talk about this concept all the time, like her success is not my failure. And it's the same for any
right.
gender. She just
Yeah.
had it in that way. Um, and then my mom always says to me, which is really, really annoying. I'm surprised I haven't cursed actually for this whole conversation. Really annoying at the time. She always says, whenever I'm faced with a crossroads, a problem, a challenge, the answer is within you.
Very good.
And at the time, I'm like, Mom, just tell me what you think. She's like a coach first mom as well. So she'll never tell me what she thinks because she wants me to figure it out myself. But I'd be like, no, I want your opinion. And she'd be like, but you know the answer. You already know the answer. The answer is within you. And I'm like, but Mom, I don't. I really don't. And then like a couple of weeks later or a month, I'm like, I did. I knew that that was the answer. I just hadn't yet come to my consciousness that that was the answer.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice as well, because if your mom had told you something and you did it and then you went to pot, you could be
Yeah.
like, well, you told me,
Yeah. Although
you know.
sometimes you want it, decision fatigue. I'm like, just decide for me.
Exactly. Okay, and then your favorite Irish word or saying, and it can be in Irish or English.
I love it. Okay, another one I have so much. I always say come here, and the people be like, "Come where?" And I'm like, "No, just come here." Like, and I always say listen. But for today, I wanted to have one that I think is beautiful. It's a word, and it's more of a translation. And because we're talking about women, and we could talk for 5 million hours, it still wouldn't be enough time. But the pressure that women put on ourselves, the pressure we put on ourselves as women to sometimes fit into boxes that we shouldn't be in. And our bodies as trends, another topic that I could talk about all day and all night. When I was growing up, I'm covered in freckles. You probably can't tell right now because I've got makeup on. And actually, I've started to have them out all the time. But I used to hate them. I used to Google, like, I remember being 12, 13, 14, Googling, how can I get rid of freckles?
I feel so sad when I hear
I
that.
feel so sad as well because I'm like, oh my gosh. And now freckles are so cool. Everyone wants freckles. There's freckle pens drawn on freckles. And even if it wasn't cool, I love my freckles now. Like I've learned to love everything about me. And as my body changes and as all people's women's bodies change, I try my best. And 99.9% of the time I accept who I am because this is a body and it's healthy and it allows me to walk and do everything I love. But freckles, there's a saying, a face without freckles is like a sky without stars. But my saying is, um, pogini grania, which actually means kisses from the sun. So freckles oscailga is pogini grania, which when you think about it, like that's so beautiful. And I think our language is so beautiful.
So nice. I actually didn't know. I'm getting goosebumps again. That's now the second time. Um, that's
Yeah, I
beautiful.
love it myself.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Okay, quick fire at the end,
Tell me, I'm ready.
Aishling. Okay, so Tato or King Crisps?
Tato, definitely.
Okay. Lines or Barry's tea?
I can't believe this is even a question. It's how passionate I am about Barry's that lines would even come into the equation. But 100% Barry's. No way for anything else. Absolutely not.
I still get shocked when people from Dublin or around Dublin say Barry's tea.
Really?
Yeah, because Barry's tea is Cork and then Lines is kind of Dublin.
Oh, listen, you can't beat Barry's.
I know. Okay, brilliant. How many cups of tea do you drink a day?
My cups of tea ratio depends on who I'm with. So, like, if it's just me, I'm actually pretty good. I'd probably have one in the evening. If I'm with the girls, probably 10, like in an evening. The tea is both piping in terms of drama and the gossip, and also in terms of the liquid beverage. Yeah.
Very good. And well, it's probably better that you're drinking tea, 10 cups
Yeah.
of tea.
Yeah. No, we love the tea. There's something comforting about it.
Yeah, there really is. I just love tea. It just makes
I love tea
me
as well.
feel uh it's comforting. It's really comforting.
It's also, I feel like an act of love. Like my mom was over for a couple of days and I'd usually only have tea in the evening. But obviously she was here and I was working and she's like, I'll make you a cup of tea. I'll make you a cup of tea. I think we don't even realize it's like they talk about the 5 love languages, like gift giving, words of affirmation. I think Irish people, there's 6 and it's tea making.
That's such a good point because do you remember Karina, the farmer, the woman farmer of the year, Ireland's woman farmer of the year?
Yes.
She said that her grandmother used to like she'd either visit or people would come in and she would
Yeah.
it was all about having a cup of tea and then it would give you time to like talk and relax and then
Decompress and then be
decompress.
vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly. And connection and
Yeah.
relationships and stuff like that. It's so true.
I love it.
My gosh, that was such a great conversation. Aishling Ennis, thank you so much for coming on the Manana Heron
Thank
podcast.
you. You're amazing. I am so excited to follow your journey and continue to listen. I'm going to get my mom. She'll be a Manana Heron. She already is an amazing Manana Heron. Um, and yeah, dream big. We're going to have this podcast as number 1 in Ireland by the end of the year.
Okay, Aishling, I'm going to hold you to that.
Let's
And
do it.
I'm going to take on board a lot what you said as well, because I completely resonate with a lot of things you said. And I hope listeners do too. And actually, if you're listening or watching and you have resonated, can you please just comment somewhere?
I'll
Either
get all my friends to comment.
yeah, because then again, anybody who comments on either YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or I'm across all socials,
Omni-channel.
LinkedIn, just comment because then the algorithm. I hate this though because you have to play the algorithm. You know,
Oh, well,
it's like
such is life.
such is life, and so then the
Work
more people,
smart, not hard. Isn't that what they say?
yeah, and so the more people that comment or like or do engage in some way then the more people will see the podcast and hear it. Okay, we leave it there. And thank you so much again. It was
Thank
such a
you.
joy to speak to you.
I have loved this. You're a queen. And yeah, I will continue to like, subscribe, comment, and I'll get everyone else to do it as well. Because I sent Hillary's to some of my friends last night because I was on a walk listening to hers. And my friends are obsessed with her. And they were like, oh my God, from one queen to another. I was like, thanks, guys. Felt popular. Thanks, Ciara. You're the best.
Okay, bye. Talk soon.
Chat soon. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.